Welcome back to the Prosperous Life Podcast, everyone. My guest today is Jahden Nguyen. I know him as a successful entrepreneur, believer in God, and most importantly, definitely available and able to help you accomplish living a prosperous life. Welcome to the show, Jahden.
Thanks for having me, man.
Of course. So, a couple things.
First podcast.
This is your first podcast?
Yeah.
Hey, there's a first for everything, and first ones can bring a little anxiety, but a little excitement.
I'm excited.
So I see you living a prosperous life, but something that has stuck out to me is that even with the current state of the economy, you are still thriving. What do you feel like is a separator for somebody like yourself that's thriving in the state of the economy and somebody that's struggling?
Well, I think I definitely, by God's grace, got lucky at a time when I decided to start my business. And if I wouldn't have started my business, I wouldn't be able to live the way I'm able to during these times. Because, I mean, even when I go to the grocery store, fill up on gas, I think to myself, how does anybody do this? Like, with inflation and everything, it's getting out of hand. But, yeah, I just got lucky, and I found I've been painting for a long time, like 7 years, and I decided I was doing a lot of side jobs. I was getting a lot of calls, and I was also working at a restaurant at the time, and I was doing enough side work to where I finally had to quit the restaurant job, and I was making enough money doing the side jobs where I finally was like, okay, I need to formulate an LLC so I can pay taxes and stuff on this. And then I didn't expect it to blow up from there, but it did. And yeah, so I guess I just was able to target a niche that I found in this economy that was people still wanted to pay for. But yeah.
I love that. So people are running away from blue collar work and you decide to run to blue collar work.
Yeah. If I could give anybody advice that is in blue collar work and has done it a couple of years and feels comfortable with their trade, start now, start a business, because there's such a lack of workers, such a demand for us. I didn't even realize. And you can charge what you're worth. You know, you're not really competing right now. You can actually, if you know what you're worth, you can charge for what you're worth.
I love that. So did you ever struggle with charging what you were worth, or did you always have that confidence in yourself to just say, this is what I'm worth and I'm not going any lower?
Yeah, I mean, so the person I worked for before I started my business, we had a different mindset when it came to business, and he was very conservative, wanted to make sure he would get the job. So he would bid very low. And then I carried that on to when I started bidding low. And then I got lucky, I guess, again, and I met a rep at the job that I was bidding, and I told her what I was going to bid it for, and she was shocked that I was bidding it for so low. And so I asked her questions about other contractors, what they're charging, and I was about 3 times lower. And so I was like, holy cow. And so I started upping my prices, and people were accepting my bids. And I noticed too, this is a good piece of advice. If you get into this, people that give you a hard time about paying usually aren't worth the money. Usually if it's a smaller job and they're not wanting to pay a lot, then usually it's going to be more of a headache of a job anyway. So you might as well pass it along or charge what you know you want to make off of it and let them decide if they want to pay that much. But then there will always be another job.
I love that. So really just getting into an abundance mindset, it sounds like, has allowed you to, 1, make the money you're worth, but 2, get the deals that you actually want to work.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in a lot of different industries will say that the market is saturated, whether it be e-commerce or real estate or anything. And it's just not true. There's so many people, and how much do you need to make a 6-figure income, right? If you do the math, how many dollars a day and how much is your service? Sell it to that many people. There's definitely enough people for you to give yourself the life you're wanting to acquire.
I love that. It is a mindset. It's a perspective thing. I mean, there's millionaires in every industry that you can think of. It's just a matter of getting in there and knowing that there's enough people for you to make the money that you want.
Seriously, I just saw a TikTok of somebody that became a millionaire selling dirt because it was like only sold in big proportions. And so he was buying it and then dividing it up into little packets and then labeling it with different things for different plants and selling dirt online, became a millionaire. So
it's the simple, boring ideas that make people money.
I think you just got to start and do something and stay consistent with it until it starts.
Amen to that. So do you feel like somebody that's been struggling through this economy, the answer is starting their own business?
100%.
So let's say if somebody doesn't know what business to start, where would you suggest them start to figure out what business they want to start?
So one, you got to ask yourself what type of person you are, because there's there's a million ways to make $1 million, right? So if you're not somebody that is very like social, you're kind of like, you don't like selling, so don't go into sales. Find something that you're good at, not so much something that you're passionate about, because you can do your passion, your hobbies and stuff once you're out of this rat race cycle that you don't want to be in. But you want to target your hard skills, your soft skills. What can you build a business around? If you're good with people, start getting like with you. You started networking as much as you can, and then this is eventually going to build a very successful life for you because you're going to have all these different connections. So yeah.
So you're thinking, or what you know is just evaluate what you're good at and not necessarily follow what you're passionate about, follow what you know you're good at and can serve the world with, and start there.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that. Now, with the success that you've built, you've mentioned that you've been lucky. And in my belief, I believe luck comes with hard work. You get luckier the harder work you put in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure the success hasn't come with just luck, of course.
No, lots of hard work, lots of sleepless nights. I mean, I have 2 businesses. We can get into that, but just the painting business alone, I got to work the normal 9 to 5, which I'm starting to be able to move away from with my like hiring out and stuff like that. But I was doing that, and then I'd come home and have to do all the back end things, accounting, calling clients, all this stuff, and ordering paint. And then I'd have my girl and my kid, and they demand my attention too. And I have friends and all these things. And so I definitely had to learn how to prioritize my time, which I'm still working on. It's still a difficult thing for me because I have so much going on. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot of hard work, I feel like I earned it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So how much does God play a place in your life that has driven you the success in the state of the economy is now and when the economy is good?
I don't think it's the same for everybody, but for me, he knows how success driven I am. And sometimes it can be a fault of mine to where I'm constantly thinking like, how do I get the next dollar? How to make more and more and more? And so like, he's made it very clear to me in my life that I have to have a sort of a balance between health and my family and business. And so, yeah, so like when I start getting too focused in one area, he's quick to humble me, I should say.
That's fair. Balance is definitely key in life, isn't it? I've learned, I guess I take that back in a sense, because I personally don't necessarily believe in balance. I believe in ultimately just thriving, right? Because if I'm thriving in, let's say, my coaching business, my relationship is naturally just going to be better with my wife. And if I'm thriving in my relationship, I'm naturally just going to thrive in my coaching. And if I'm naturally thriving in my health, my relationship and my coaching is naturally just going to thrive. I feel like I personally don't shoot for balance. I just shoot to be the best version of myself I possibly can be in all the areas that I'm focused on.
Yeah, which is why I said it's probably not for everybody. I like have this weird like inner monologue that's constantly telling me I need to be going, and a lot of the times I don't have that voice telling me to slow down ever, and it can be like running into times where I should be with my family, like get off my phone and be present. And so like I would agree, like as I get more successful in my business, it allows me the opportunity to thrive in all these other areas, but I still have to make the choice to go to the gym. I still have to make the choice to treat my girl good and things like that.
Of course, I would agree with that. It's, from what I'm hearing, is you're striving to always be mindful throughout your day. You're trying to be mindful with where you should put your attention toward to, over just wasting time. You're shooting to be intentional with your time.
Yeah, definitely. Intentionality is very important in life, I think.
So for somebody that is wasting a lot of time, whether that's their phone, whether that's work, whether that's just wasting their time with a significant other where they just don't need to spend that much time with them, what would you recommend to them to be able to be more intentional with their time?
Am I talking to somebody that wants to be?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you know? What do you feel like you should be doing that would help you? And through your pain, how can you help other people with their pain in that regard as well?
I think of it like if you're like your spirit knows when you're not living to your own personal goals, your own potential. Not so much, that doesn't mean like you're at where you want to be, but like if you're doing absolutely nothing and like say you want to be a 6-figure whatever and you're doing nothing to get towards that, then inside you're not going to be feeling very good. Like there's always going to be that person inside of you telling you, like, making you feel guilty, you know? And so I think one, like recognizing that voice and listening to it, and kind of like how your body tells you, like if your foot, like if you stub your foot, it tells you what to put ice on. Your mind is going to tell you what you need. Like if you're really lacking in your health right now, your diet is crap, you're eating out every day and you're wondering why you're not feeling motivated. Well, your body's telling you probably that you need to cut that out and start, exercising. And so you can move forward from that and get a clearer mind and then listen again. And maybe it's going to tell you, you remember that opportunity, you remember that business idea, why don't you start it? And then it's just a matter of like getting yourself to like rid yourself of excuses and just do the things you need to do, get a mentor, get moving. Just success loves speed, success loves momentum.
Of course. So you're following the process of really evaluate what the pain is. If it's your relationships hurting, your financial situation's hurting, really become hyper aware of what pain you're experiencing.
Yeah, because it's never for no reason.
Exactly. And then you want to transform it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to take action. You can know how you want to transform something, but if you don't take action, then you're not going to get the results that you deserve.
Exactly.
I love that. So tell me, let's bring it back to your story a little bit. You believe in God. You believe that He has helped you get to where you're at today. You believe that He's given you a lot of blessings.
Right.
Do you feel like God is important for somebody to have the success that you're looking for?
So like, I guess you have to define what your definition of success is, because my God isn't going to bless somebody who wants to be, successful for the wrong reasons, and so I think like for me personally, he did more than bless me. He did more than like help me make good money or things like that. He saved my life from despair and from a place that I was like a depression that I wouldn't have been able to pull myself out of if it weren't for him. And so I think, like, spiritually speaking, everybody needs God. And from a standpoint of eternal life and a standpoint of like everyday life, like learning about yourself and growing and learning from your mistakes, because that's, in my opinion, the Holy Spirit is the one informing you when you're sinning. Like, that guilty feeling that you get is usually a good thing, something that is to help you, to remind you that it's not for you. And so I think once you start learning to listen to yourself or listen to God in those aspects, in a spiritual aspect, then you start living a healthier life, which in turn, he'll start blessing your hobbies, your business, whatever you want to do.
So you feel like it's more important to essentially have, I don't know success is the right word for this, but you feel like it's important to be healthy spiritually, mentally, and physically before he'll bless your other areas of life.
Yeah, I think you see good examples of that in successful people, celebrities, the ones that like they have everything they ever need, and then all of a sudden they kill themselves. You saw that recently. That guy Twitch, he just killed himself, and he had a beautiful family. You can, from the outside in, it looks like everything is great, but you already know that his spiritual life was trash, because if it was thriving, he wouldn't have done something like that. And so success in terms of a financial standpoint isn't going to, like, I don't think God is going to just give you success. Like, I think he knows your heart, and if like you're going to do good things with your success, he's going to bless it.
Absolutely. So if somebody's trying to become closer to God, be more intentional with God so that they can be more intentional with their mindset, their physical health, where could they start?
The Bible. John 1:1 says that he is the Word, and like the Word was God and the Word was with God. And so it's our tangible form of himself. And so a lot of it's more than just like opening the book and reading it, like any other book. It's, if you read it with the mindset of like Jesus is sitting next to you, he's participating with you, he's listening to you, he's communicating with you, then that opens up a whole new realm of opportunity for you to get closer to God. And that's why, like, one verse might mean one thing to you one day, and then a year later it might mean another thing. It's because it's alive and it's always changing. It's always, well, it's not changing, but it's always moving and working for you, and he reveals things through it. It's not just a book. So that would definitely be my starting point. And then there's a lot of cool YouTube channels that, like, if the Bible is something that, like, if like you're a believer in God, so you grew up in Christianity, but you're not like that's, you're very surface level, but you want to believe or whatever, but something is pushing you away from reading the Bible, that's natural for a lot of people, then there's lots of cool breakdowns on YouTube and stuff, people that like to break down the Bible in their own way and get your different perspectives on it and learn in different ways like that.
Of course. I never grew up in a religion. I just grew up with the intention of if you're a good person, if you help your neighbor, then you'll be taken care of, right? So the Bible, I love the way that you broke that down, because the Bible can be a little intimidating, especially for somebody that's never picked it up before. And so having that aspect of envisioning Jesus is sitting right by you, he's participating in your growth, he's participating in your life. I feel like that sparks something a little bit more exciting to participate in.
Yeah. And also you can be more intentional about it too, with like specifically what you're going through. Let's say you're going through some mental health issues. You can download the Bible app. It's a little brown icon, and then you can go and search literally like, say, anxiety or depression, and then it will pop up a bunch of Bible studies that will have prompts and things to go through to help you work through that. So.
Oh, wow. So it's like a life coach at your fingertips still with the Bible.
Yeah.
That's super cool. I never recognized that. And I feel like people could actually use that as an affirmation or like a declaration. If they're trying to find success and they feel like they haven't been successful, they could pull up that app, search up success, and they can take one, what do you call them, scriptures, or take one scripture and make that your affirmation for the day and start to just say that to yourself throughout the day.
Exactly. Like I do that. Like one of them is I'm wonderfully and fearfully made. And just letting yourself know that like every single day that you weren't a mistake and you have, endless potential. So yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is I fundamentally believe the prosperous life is broken down into 7 aspects to live a prosperous life. And the last one is impact. And a sub to that is believing in something greater than yourself. When you believe in something greater for yourself, you're just naturally going to be inclined to become something greater yourself. It's not a shot in the dark here. It's not we die and we lose everything. There's no purpose there. You have nothing to live for. But when you live for something greater or you believe in something greater, you believe too that you can become something greater.
Yeah, definitely. What was it again? The last one was impact.
Impact.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think if you're, giving yourself, pouring out, that's always going to, what's the Newton's law of attraction, and like how much force you put out into the world is how much you'll get back. Equal attracts equal, or whatever. I think like if you're out to serve with a serving purpose, then you're definitely going to be getting that back.
I agree. And the thing is, serving isn't a servant where you're on your hands and knees, bending over to somebody and saying anything you want. Serving is how do you help the neighbor even when you don't or are not prepared to help a neighbor, or when you see somebody sad, just going up and smiling or waving or giving them a hug, stranger or family. Serving is a part of who you are. It's not somebody's higher than you and you have to serve them out of obligation. Serving is a characteristic of how can I serve anybody?
Yeah.
And that goes back to business as well, right? If you're naturally good at something, like you mentioned, it's not necessarily passion, but if you're naturally good at something, that tells me that you're capable of making an impact with that one thing.
Yeah, and like you're serving in all the way down to your sale. Like you don't have to feel bad about making money off of what you're selling, because at the end of the day, if you're not using bad schemes to get people to buy, then you're providing them with something they want. And you're making the world go around that way. Like I think about, I'm making my city a little bit prettier every time I paint a house. Just wherever you fit into the puzzle, I guess, run with it and don't. I can't imagine some being that type of person that sits on their couch day in and day out and does absolutely nothing to go out and build either for themselves or for the community or something like that. I feel like I would go crazy.
I would agree with that. And that brings me to, having a vision, because there's a scripture, and I don't know the exact quotations of it, so don't quote me on this, but it says something, the people that have a vision will not perish. And that tells me that no matter, we've talked a little bit about economy today, no matter the economy state, if you know who you want to become and you know what you want to achieve in this world, and you have that vision, whether we have the peaks or the valleys, you know where you're headed. So if you just consistently take a step towards that vision, you're always going to be on a projection to becoming somebody greater, achieving greater things, and accomplishing what you were capable of doing in this world.
I agree. And just expecting the hurdles that come with it. Like, just because we're in a recession, it doesn't give like anybody an excuse to just quit, because if you were going into business expecting to not ever run into hurdles, then you never were going to be successful to begin with. You never were in the right mindset to start a business. So understanding like, and also maybe even getting your mind around like there's going to be hurdles that you can't even comprehend like or expect. So expect the unexpected, I guess, in a sense. Like I started my business 7 months ago, and did I expect I would have to fire 3 people? Did I expect to almost get sued by somebody? No, I wasn't expecting any of that. And, you know, I was expecting the hard things like, am I going to be able to pay my taxes correctly and things like that. So just knowing that you're going to, you know, run into tough times is definitely going to help you keep on that path.
Exactly. And when you have that end goal in mind of, I want to be a millionaire in painting or whatever the case is, when you have that little dip of, oh, I just got sued, it makes it a little bit easier knowing that tomorrow's a new day and you know what you're trying to accomplish. And you probably want to bring your vision a little bit more than money, just to highlight there, because you might be, I want to make 1 million homes beautiful in my city or whatever the case is. But you definitely want to have that impact in mind, because it does attach a lot more purpose to that end goal.
Definitely.
Man, sounds like you've had a lot of trials over the last 7 months.
Yeah, man, it's been crazy.
So, of course, I know my process to overcome those hurdles. What would you say your process is to overcome those hurdles?
I really tried to, like, before I started my business, I really tried to have like a unbreakable mindset when it came to it. Like I was saying, I was prepared because I saw like I painted for the same business for 7 years. And so I saw the ups and downs of it. And so I knew what to expect in that. But when it came to like difficult things, it was a lot that helped me was having somebody to talk to about it. Like my girl, she's definitely a very sound-minded individual and helped me rationalize, because I'm kind of a pushover too. I didn't ever want to be somebody that fired. I don't like confrontation. And so like she was the one that helped me a lot of times, open my eyes to realize like, okay, this is actually not benefiting my business, which is in turn not benefiting my family, which is in turn not benefiting, you know, our future. And so she helped me. It helps me make hard decisions when emotions get in the way and stuff like that. So just having somebody in your life, whether it be your mom, dad, spouse, girlfriend, whatever, that you can talk to about it. And then also God, bring it back to God. He's always going to give you direction, and it's never going to give you a wrong answer. So,
okay. So just having a support system to lean back on when you need them, to say the least.
Yeah. And if you don't have one, then spend time learning how to mold yourself into your own support system, because you know, there's going to be times like if you're starting a specific business, your mom, who's your best friend, can be there only so much. But when it comes to like analytical things that you run into, how is she going to help you, you know? And you got to be ready for those type of issues. So, yeah, I mean, I learned how to graphic design, learned how to build a website, learned how to do SEO, Google Ads, things like that. Like I just realized like if I want to be successful, this is on me and I have to do it. So, and nobody's going to hold, like I can't go cry to somebody when it doesn't work, I could, but they're not going to be able to help me. So it's like getting yourself to this point where you have a growth mindset. You're willing to learn. You're willing to recognize you don't know what you don't know, but you can know it. You know, nobody's special anymore. Everybody's done something and has created a way to teach you how to do it. So, yeah.
I love that. So let's say somebody doesn't have that support system. Where do you feel like they can start to build that relationship with themselves so they know they can rely on themselves?
Put yourself in situations of trial. Like, the best way you could ever push yourself in your mind to like be able to trust yourself is in the gym, because you're battling mind over body. Say you're doing that last rep and you have the choice of quitting, but in your head, you know you can do that last rep, but it hurts so bad and you could just put it down. You know you got a good workout. So, you know what I'm saying with that?
Totally. It's the aspect of doing one more. You told yourself that you were going to work out for 30 minutes, but mind over body, if you work out for 31 minutes even, that's going to start to boost your confidence that much more, because you know you can rely on yourself that much more to always do more in your life.
Yeah, and let's say you like have a goal of hitting a 5-minute mark on the treadmill sprint or whatever, or just a run consecutively. If you can trust yourself to go to that 5-minute mark, and you know that, and you don't quit at 4:30, 4:45, then you can trust yourself in, say, if you're in sales or something, not like if you run into a certain thing, you know, you're nervous about, you know, you can trust yourself to not back out of it this time. Or for me, like, I'm a trader. I have these rules that I want to set. And like, there's times when psychology gets all messed up and you start breaking your own rules and stuff, and you start losing trust and then in your own self. And then you go back to the gym and you do that sort of mind preparation. And then you can go back. I can go back and trust myself to not make bad decisions on the charts. So, yeah.
Exactly. And that brings me to cold showers or cold plunges. Have you ever done those before?
Yeah. I haven't in a while, actually. I do want to start doing cold showers again. I was just talking about them today, actually. So do you know who Wim Hof is? I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, this is like, I definitely pair this to where my like financial success started, where I had a buddy who was like my gym partner, my life partner. He was just a stud, and we pushed each other. And we're super into crypto. We're super into going to the gym. We're super into just getting like our minds right. We're doing Bible studies together, going to church together. And what we would do is we would do our workouts, and then we'd go lay out in the snow with no shirt on and do the Wim Hof and meditate and breathe and just take all that in. And it was like, I mean, that was my first 6-figure year. And so I definitely would recommend it. Just puts you in the right mindset.
Yeah. So I agree with that, because I take a cold shower every morning right when I get up. I want to get a cold plunge. I really do, because I think that would be way harder than a cold shower. It just at a colder standpoint, and your body's completely immersed. But the mind over body is so hard, especially right in the morning, because your mind is working subconsciously. It's telling you, it's like that alarm, right? When your alarm goes off, are you going to tell yourself to do it or not? Your mind doesn't want to, but your spirit does. Your spirit wants you to go accomplish your goals. It wants you to go accomplish who you want to become. The next step is that cold shower. Nobody wants to get in a cold shower in the morning, but the ability to do so, even when you don't want to, is preparing you to do things that you don't want to on a bigger scale.
Definitely. Got to start small.
Exactly. And the ability to control your breath and to learn how to control your mind and your body at the same time allows you to control the stress of your body and your mind, which in turn allows you to deal with stress a lot better in life.
Do you want to know how I used to deal with cold showers, like the pain of it? I would literally envision Jesus on the cross, and like how much pain he must have been in, and how little pain that I'm feeling compared to that. And it always worked. Like, it always just put me into this, like, don't be a wussy type.
I love that. And it brings it back to intention, right? When you have intention with that thought, nobody can even comprehend the pain that would have felt. So it puts you into perspective that I am going through nothing.
Yeah, seriously. And sometimes that's what you need to do. Like, if you're that person who's having a hard time getting motivated, like, get out of yourself. Like, pull up YouTube and watch some videos on third world countries and what they're going through and stuff like that. You know, you got a phone, you have an ability to make $1 million, you know, stop, just do something.
And that brings the idea of a quote. I forget exactly how it goes, but it says, if everybody threw their crap in a pile, you would take your crap right back.
True.
And it's that, and it's not to like, how do I say this? It's not to not validate your emotions, your thoughts, your behaviors, and the results you're getting in life. It's the fact that you have the ability to become aware of wherever you're at, whether that's financially, spiritually, mentally, physically, and that we have the resources to say, this is causing me this pain in my life. I feel guilty. I feel like crap. I feel like I'm not accomplishing what I'm capable of, which is hurting my family, my kids, whatever. And if I transform this, I would be able to become the person I want to be and do, and the resources I right here at my fingertips. And you have the ability to say, this is what I want, and this is how I'm going to go and get it. Whether that's making more money or becoming spiritually more fit, physically fit, mentally fit, having closer relationships with your spouse, your girlfriend, your kids. Like you said, there's YouTube.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the people that are complaining that they're not having success or wanting success, they're neglecting to complain that they aren't spiritually and healthy, like their mind's not healthy, their body's not healthy in all these ways. Because if that got figured out first, then I think this part comes right after following it. So, you know, you can complain all day on your couch that I want to be successful, but until you start developing yourself to be the person that can handle success, then you're not going to get it.
Exactly. So you say if somebody wants to become spiritually more fit and to get closer to God, start with the Bible. Do you feel like somebody should just jump right in and immerse themselves, read for an hour, or what would be proactive steps to get closer to God?
I would always start with prayer, you know, open up the dialogue, because you got to get, for God to move in your life, you have to have faith. And it's got to be a faith that's like not half in, half out. You know, that's what they would refer to as the lukewarm Christian. You have to believe that he's going to move before you go into it. You can't be like, okay, I'm going to just try this. It's probably not going to work, but Jahden said it would, so we'll see. And then I'll tell him that God doesn't exist after it doesn't work later. And so, you know, you go into it with the intentionality, pray, open up the dialogue, say, God, will you show me what you want to show me? Communicate what you're feeling. You know, it's just as healthy as writing in a journal, like writing out what you're going through, express it out loud into words. And then you could do, I mean, it'd be healthy to go on YouTube or find a Christian mentor, whether it be like just somebody in a church or a relative that you know is a Christian who's a big Bible person, and then just ask them that question. Like for me, I would start in the gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, because it's the New Testament story of Jesus, and Jesus, in my opinion, is the most important thing to focus your attention on. You can learn about all the Old Testament stuff. You can learn about, you know, Proverbs and all the Revelation stuff, but if you don't know who Jesus is, then you're not going to go to heaven, says the Bible. So, because John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, whoever believed in him will not perish but have eternal life. So it's about having the faith in him that he is who he says he is, he is the Bible, he is the Word. So going into it with like, okay, I am talking to Jesus, he's talking to me, and having that intentional, like it's very intentional with it, you know, that would be my first step with it.
Absolutely love that. And not a better time to talk about this than right before Christmas, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, on that point, my family, even though we didn't necessarily grow up in a church, we always read the Bible story of Jesus on Christmas. And I feel like the world needs more of that. Again, bringing it back to intention. What was the intention of Christmas, or what is the intention of your day? Being able to relate it back to something more powerful, to God, Jesus, would transform your life dramatically.
Definitely.
Being able to wake up in the morning and smile and say, God gifted me another day so I can become better and I can achieve the goals that I'm capable of achieving in life, just puts a smile on your face to not want to hit the snooze button.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm on the flip side of it now, where I was like, I can't stand wasting time. Like there's so much to do all the time. Like there's so much to build. There's so much to do. Like my end goal is to be able to do mission trips and stuff around the world and build houses just straight out of pocket with my success and stuff like that. And I'm like, how am I going to get there if I'm wasting time? You know?
Of course. I love that. So in the off topic for yourself, for somebody that doesn't want to waste time, how many hours of sleep do you sleep at night?
Honestly, that was like the one question I thought you wouldn't ask me, or hoped you wouldn't ask me. I actually, so I have been striving to be a successful trader, and it took, 5-6 years of sleepless nights, constantly worrying about what's going on in the charts. And the hours of trading for me are midnight till 2 a.m. or 5 a.m. till 5 a.m. till about 8 a.m. And a lot of the times I would choose to do both. And throughout the years, I actually ended up developing insomnia. And so I don't sleep very much. I probably sleep like 3 to 4 hours a night. And I actually took this month off to try and fix that. So I haven't been working this month on my painting business because I'm trying to get more sleep.
Well, that's cool. I mean, what matters is that you're striving to be better, right?
Yeah. And to the listeners, it's the most important thing and I've neglected the most important thing. Like, I think you're not going to heal right. Your mind's not going to be right. You're not going to be able to do any of these things we're talking about if you're not able to get enough sleep.
Of course. So what's the goal? How many hours of sleep do you want to get a night?
6.
I agree with that. I think 6 to 8 is the prime. I would say, I know based upon other people's research. I can't say based upon my own research, but you can live on 6 and you can live on 7 and you can live on 8.
Well, I always wonder, like, I've done so much research on that too, and heard so many perspectives that I don't know what to trust either, because some will say you just need like that REM sleep. So if you can get 3 hours of that deep sleep, then you're good. Some people will say you just need to have the sleep and sporadically have it throughout the day. At least you're getting it. So I don't know, but I think there's that your body will tell you when you have enough sleep.
I agree with that. And for people like you and I who are trying to build big things, there's always something to do on my mind. There's always something on my plate.
Yeah.
So that brings me back to, okay, you get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep. That's, in my opinion, that's not even the most important part. It's what you do before you go to sleep. Because if you're going to bed anxious, you're probably not going to get the best sleep. But if the 30 minutes before you go to sleep, you're taking a shower, you're journaling, you're praying, you're reading, whether a Bible or a book, you're doing those things to bring you in a state of abundance and love, you're probably going to sleep a lot better. Even for somebody that sleeps for 8 hours, if they're on their phone for an hour before they go to sleep, or they're watching some dramatic show, you're probably going to sleep a lot worse than the person that sleeps for 6 hours that did 30 minutes of personal development before they went to sleep.
Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't really thought about that.
Yeah, I think there's so many variables that goes into good sleep over just the hours of sleep that you get.
For sure.
And bringing it back to God is, I mean, it depends on how you look at dreams, but I think dreams are a sign of what could possibly happen in the future. Obviously, I don't think every dream that you have is going to be a tell sign of what happens in the future. But sleeping in a way, I personally believe is a way to connect to God.
I mean, he talks about that in the Bible all the time.
And
David had dreams, and yeah, a lot of characters had dreams in the Bible that we spoke to them in their dreams.
And that brings me back to meditation, right? Because I forget the exact mind levels, but at the very bottom, I believe it is, I forget, truthfully. You have the mind waves. But if you can be in the perfect state of meditation, that is a perfect place to be able to, I don't know what you want to call it, have angel signs, God signs. But when you're in a state of mind to accept messages from the other side, that's when you really can start to show up fully in life in a way that you just can't do by go, 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 go. Yeah. I fundamentally believe there's action that is effective and non-effective. Somebody can work their butt off for 12 hours a day and not get anywhere. Somebody can work 7 hours a day and get everywhere.
Totally.
So and we could go so many places with that alone. I think it comes back to intention. What is your intention with your sleep? What is your intention with your work? What is your intention with how you go about your day?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I always say God created us through thought, and he gave us the ability to think. It's a gift. So Definitely. What are you creating with your thoughts?
Yeah. And it's not even like they want to push it as a conspiracy type, like new age sciencey thing, but obviously it's proven science now that our thoughts are mental real estate. They have effect on the real world. And, you've seen like the experiments with the jars of rice, and where like you do positive affirmations towards one and negative towards the other, and one will end up turning a different color. And then you have the frequencies of how it affects water. You could have love music or classical music and we'll form icicles in snowflake shapes, or you can have, hate speech and things like that, and it will be all clustered and disorganized. So you're bringing back to your thoughts. If you're constantly in a state of worry, state of anxiety, state of anything negative, that's all you're going to get. That's all it's going to bring to you, because you're just putting that type of energy out into the world. And it's not new agey. It's just the way it is. Like, that's why you get that saying, gosh, I can never catch a break, because you're thinking about, okay, this bad thing happened to me, and then another thing bad happened, and then you're thinking about both things now, and now you're thinking you're having a bad day, and then so domino effects. And then on the flip side, positive things, and doors open, and success, and things all happen in an exponential sort of way because of your thought process.
Exactly. And that comes down to something I teach. I always teach that life is created by moments. Your moments create your days create your weeks create your months create years create your life. And most of the time, somebody did not have a bad day, didn't have a bad week, didn't have a bad month or a year. They had one bad moment. And they let that one bad moment take over their thoughts, which hijacked their emotions. And they started to act in accordance to those negative thoughts and emotions, which created them to have the bad year.
Yeah. I heard it. I'm going to butcher this, but I remember an analogy about thinking about your time in the day in a dollar amount. I can't remember how many minutes there are in a day, but that's how many dollars you have. And so now you're thinking about, wow, I just spent, $500 because, so-and-so made me feel this way. When you could put that money towards this and multiplied it to a bigger amount. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And that comes down to intention. When you can see it in dollar form, you wouldn't give somebody $500 that does not deserve it.
Exactly.
So why are you giving them time, which is way more precious than money?
Yeah, and if you wouldn't even give them the money, yeah, exactly.
Time is something that no matter how rich you are, you can never go in your past and you can never go in the future. The only time that you can create is right now.
Mm-hmm. With the way things are going, you never know how much time you really have. So get to it.
And that is something you really never know when your time will come. I mean, that would be really interesting to know. Even if we had the ability to do so, I don't know if I would want to know. That would be trippy.
You're thinking about it way too much during your living time.
But the thing is you never know when your time is up. And so a visualization I do is I love mountains personally. I live right here in Salt Lake City, Utah. We're surrounded by mountains. Have you ever been down here in Salt Lake?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my visualization, I always envision myself on top of a mountain with God by my side. And in the visualization, I see all the cities, all the people, all the rivers, lakes, anything that I want to envision, I can see in the world. But most importantly, I see my past, I see my present, and the person at the top of the mountain is a person I'm capable of being and achieving with everything they achieved in life, which is my future self. And I look up to that person because it allows me to act in accordance to who that person is to today, which allows me to become more today and achieve more today because I'm acting in accordance to what I would be as if I was standing by God. And when you show up as if you already have that achievement, or you show up as if you are already that person today, those achievements and who you become will happen a lot faster.
Yeah, give you that confidence.
If you don't have confidence, you have nothing.
Definitely.
Maybe that's just my belief.
How do you gain
I could be way wrong. I think it goes back to the power of body over mind, the power of one more. When you start to do what you promise yourself you'll do, not the promises to other people. Don't get me wrong. Those are just important. But if you can just keep your promises alone and you can do one more, over time, you'll build an unbreakable confidence.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because you can go from the person of like you make a mistake and you're like, oh, I always do that. And you get down on yourself and you say out loud negative affirmations towards yourself, or you become this person that is shocked that this person would do something like that, and what person are you? Because this person is going to realize, oh, I just made a mistake. That's not me. I'm going to keep moving forward. This person's like, oh, I'm always doing this way. And you're going to continue to do it that way because of the way you think.
Exactly. And it goes back to transforming, right? We have resources. If you can evaluate what's going wrong in your life, you have the ability to actually sit down and look at what pain it's causing you and the pleasure you would get by transforming it. And you look at all the resources you have and you create a plan and path to transform. your confidence is going to start to build. If you're poor, fine, that's okay. But how are you transforming? What are you going to do about it now? Are you going to stay poor for the rest of your life?
Yes.
And it goes back to timeline. I mean, even for somebody, let's say there's an 80-year-old listening to this and they have 4 more years. What apologies do you need to make? What did you not write a book that you promised yourself your entire life that you were going to write? Did you want to be a rapper and you gave up your dream of being a rapper because you're dead? I can't promise you'll be a great rapper at 80, but you could at least put out a song on YouTube. You just start to do these little things that you've promised yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Become your own best friend. A lot of people hate themselves. I spent a lot of years hating myself, so I can say that confidence, and it takes that intentional effort to become the person you have that, what you're saying, that person, your future self in mind, and you think about what characteristics and actions would that person be taking, and then just follow suit.
Exactly. So how do you feel you transformed your life from hating yourself to, I can't speak for you, but loving yourself if you're at that place?
It was God. I mean, I grew up in a Christian house, or I didn't grow up in a Christian household. My Christian influence was my grandparents, but I didn't live with them. My parents were they'll say they believe in God, but we never went to church. We never read the Bible, none of that. So throughout my youth, and I also wasn't very close with my family. I was the type of person that just cared about having friends. Because I moved around a lot when I was younger. So I was really that was what was important to me. And so I didn't really focus on God or anything during my youth, and got to this place where I realized I was chasing all the wrong things that were leading to emptiness inside, and got to the point where I was dating a girl and we were just living in a lot of sin, and I knew I always had that idea or that voice in my head telling me when I'm doing something wrong, but I was able to ignore it for the longest time until I got to my low in life, which is when the girl I thought I was going to marry ended up cheating on me, and this and that, and my life fell apart, and I ended up dropping out of school and quitting my job, and I moved to Arizona. And I think that was when I first came into contact with you, or around that time. But I had to, at that time, I was running away. So maybe I should have dealt with things in Washington or whatever, but it allowed me the chance to go live with my grandparents, who were my Christian influences. And they really helped me bring me back to God, and then helped, and I started doing a lot of personal development and things like that. And then when I moved back to Washington, I had a crazy encounter with him. And that from that moment on, that's kind of how that all started. But sorry, I kind of got off track. What was the question?
No, you're good. It was how it actually went right along with it. It was how you went from hating yourself to loving yourself.
Right. Yeah. And so just being in relationship with him, you naturally learn to love yourself, because he reminds you of who you are. If you believe the Bible and you believe in him, then you should believe what the Bible says. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. There's nothing, he knitted you in your mother's wombs, every little stitch, and he counts every tear. And just thinking about it from an intimate standpoint of wow, the God of the universe knows your name, knows my name, knows you to the point where he's the only person that can actually understand what you're going through, and how to fix it. And it brought this new self out of me, I guess. And I do have times still where I struggle with myself, because I'm a workhorse, and I struggle with the balance thing, where I realize, okay, I'm not spending enough time with my family, or I'm not, and he always brings me back around when it comes to that type of stuff.
That's amazing. I love that. And again, you can start small just by praying. If somebody hasn't read the Bible yet, that's fine. Just start with prayer. Start small, and at some point you will get to reading the full Bible. And at some point they will have as close a relationship with God as yourself, but they have to start somewhere.
A really, really powerful way you could start too is go to a random church. Be that person in the very back. Don't tell anyone you're going, and go for you and God. Don't worry about anything else. Just focus on the message, focus on the music, focus on what's going on in the moment. And I guarantee you'll have some sort of experience.
I love that.
If you go into it wanting it.
Yeah, and it goes back to intention, right? If you're going for the wrong reasons, you're probably not going to get much out of it. But if you're going by yourself and all you're there is to listen to the music, the worship, the message, you're definitely going to get something out of it.
Yeah, they don't pray at the very beginning and ask these things of God every single time for no reason or because it's religious. It's because they believe that doing that is opening up the dialogue, and they're expecting the Holy Spirit to move in that moment from then on. And so doing the same thing for yourself will give you that same reality.
I love that. I could talk about God for hours. I fundamentally believe that you have to believe in something greater than yourself to become something greater in your life. So I could talk about this for hours, man.
Yeah, for sure.
But how can the audience be of service to you?
You could follow my pages, Instagrams, TikToks. All of it would be probably accessible through my main Instagram page. So Jahden's Life, JAHDENLIFE. But yeah, I have if you're into trading or into investments and getting into that and starting to prepare yourself for, because like we were talking about earlier, we're in a recession, and what a lot of people aren't seeing, a lot of people are seeing is rising prices in consumer goods and things like that. But what people aren't seeing is dips in stocks, real estate, all the assets across the board. And so me and my partners created a company called DeFi Da Vinci, where it's an asset education company, and you can go to our Discord through my Instagram, and it's free. And you can get educated and find out where different stocks and cryptos and things like that we're buying. If you're into day trading, we do a lot of that, and we send our charts and things like that. So yeah, if you just want to show that some love, that would be awesome. And hopefully I can benefit anybody that joins as well.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Definitely go follow him. He's one person that can truly help transform your life. Now, I want to recognize you for a moment, Jada. You're young. I mean, I'm young too, so I can't really say that lightly. But you've accomplished a lot. And I think it's cool you have such a strong connection to God. I think it's cool you're winning in life, winning with your fiance, a baby on the way, and you're achieving all this business in life. With all those successes, it's just naturally you're somebody that somebody can just look up to. I look up to you, and I know all these listeners will as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. Now, last question that I ask everybody is, what's your definition of a prosperous life?
Well, I was thinking about that because you wanted me to answer that, and I was thinking about that. But to me, the word prosperous is kind of subjective. It's kind of like success. What is your definition of success? What is your definition of prosperous? So in my opinion, I feel like if you're moving in a positive direction towards your goals or towards your potential, like you have it in mind of what it is, and that doesn't mean, like I was saying earlier, you're necessarily at that place yet, but you're taking the correct steps to get there. And that doesn't have to be financial success. If you're wanting a six pack and a good body, are you going to the gym, every day? So I think if you can tell yourself that, yeah, I am doing the things I'm supposed to be doing right now, then I think you're living a prosperous life.
I love that. Living in accordance with who you believe you're capable of being, to say the least.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Do you have any last words you'd like to share?
No, I mean, just if you have any any intention of starting a business or anything like that, don't let anybody talk you out of it. Just believe in yourself and do it, because I'm not, you might have made me sound like super successful, but I'm not. And I'm also not special by any means. Like I just started a business and I stuck with it. And so anybody can do it. And so I just encourage you to start.
Of course. I love that. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for anybody listening today. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. And it's the beginning of 2023 when you guys are hearing this. So we need a vision. As we shared in this podcast, if you have a vision, you will not perish. So I want you guys to go to braidenbelnap.com. Go to my vision board workbook. It's free. And go build yourself a vision board. When you have a vision board, you can't not only see it, but you can have the thoughts, the emotions, and you can begin to act in accordance to those goals to accomplish a life like Jahden's. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day.